Assalamu alaikum. My name is Esam Mahmoud. I'm the Senior Vice President of SMB in Etisalat. I would like to thank you all for joining today at our SMB Talks programs. For those who's not aware about the SMB Talks Talks is a great platform that we in Etisalat has established to enable us stay connected and also keep our dialogues with the different marketeers and different market expertise in different verticals. The current crisis, which is forcing us to live in exceptional times, many businesses have been impacted. So many businesses have been impacted with different levels of crisis, with different levels of impacts. Not only that, it has also changed the social life of ourselves, it has changed the social life of our friends, and also changed the social life of our business customers. We do understand that all the business has been severely impacted, and also it has impacted their day-to-day activities. However, it's a shared responsibility between us and also our colleague in different verticals. How we can work together and how we can also overcome the crisis. Most businesses are trying their best to navigate and also to pass the challenges they are facing in daily works. Therefore, this platform has been established, has been enabled the business customers, and also to enable them how we can work together, how we can work with our clients to overcome and to recover from the crisis. The SMB Talks is having an open dialogue. It's having a sharing of experience across different expertise, different verticals, and also different industries. In every aspect of the talk throughout the series, what we're going to have, we will have features of conversations with an expert from a different industries, vertical, from different industries, layers, in the hope that both together, us as Etisalat and also the business, will find a value along with our customers and also gain knowledge of how we can successfully go through the crisis. To talk about this today, and also please welcome our experts for today's session, Mr. Talal from Acacus Groups. Please welcome together, Mr. Talal. Thank you very much, Talal, for your times. I do understand that it's a busy schedule, but I do appreciate also sparing of a couple of minutes with us as part of the expertise to understand and also to inform our colleagues in different verticals how they can also get knowledge and get insights of how we can overcome the crisis. To start with, we do understand that the COVID-19 has impacted most of the business, has disrupted the way they do their activities. I also do understand that most of the business has done some changes in terms of the challenges, has done some changes in terms of opportunities. So as a CEO and an expert, co-founder of Acacus, what are the major changes and also what are the new opportunities you have seen as a result of this pandemic?
Well, yeah, thanks for having me again. So basically, in terms of the industry that we serve, so we serve the transportation industry. And so 3 different sectors. We do aviation, we do B2C transportation, so companies that do taxis, they do ride sharing. And then the third aspect of our customers, or third kind of sector, is B2B, so the delivery sector. In terms of how the industry's changed, I don't think I need to talk about aviation because everybody knows how that's been going. In terms of transportation, though, more generally, obviously a very big impact. Dubai, for example, depends a lot on tourism. There's a lot of moving people, and obviously with everyone staying at home and less tourists in the country, you had big parts of those fleets, whether it's Careem, whether it's taxi services, that were not operational. I'm happy to say that they're now back online and that's picking up, but it's nowhere close to the levels that we were seeing in terms of the number of trips being taken. Then we have the third part of the industry that we serve, which is B2B in terms of e-commerce. And that's seeing quite a rapid expansion. We've seen a lot more trips, a lot more demand for our software and specific features within the software that we offer that they're now interested in. So at a high level, that's how the industry is doing it. In terms of how we tackled it, there's kind of a lot of details in terms of what we did to our software and how we broke down those opportunities as well as the challenges that we faced.
That's very good and very good insight to hear it. Having different verticals, having different industries, do you know exactly clear view or what are the value in each industry and how you can go there to achieve that goal?
Yeah, so for example, transportation in general, like whether it's Kareem or taxi services or those types, moving people basically, the opportunity arose where they want to make customers feel more comfortable riding in public transport or shared transport services. So what we were able to do to help them is we currently have cameras installed in, for example, all the RTA taxis. And what we did is we helped, using AI, recognize and help them implement the regulations of COVID-19. So for example, now there needs to be a plastic barrier between the driver and the passenger. There's a certain limit on how many passengers can be in the vehicle. There's also other regulations related to what's allowed and how to make the customer feel safe in a public transport vehicle. So we have our cameras modified the AI. So we did some additional training to the artificial intelligence so that we would send alert to the regulators when those regulations are being violated or if the driver needs more training on how to follow the regulation. So that's on one side. On the other side, which is kind of the parcel transportation, we've been working with a number of our clients in terms of helping them optimize. We have an aspect of our software that helps them do more deliveries with the same number of vehicles using combinatorics and optimization. So we're helping them realize how they can do more deliveries for e-commerce with the same fleet size.
So Talal, with all these changes, what are the changes you expect from the customer behavior itself? Do you think the customer behavior demand will be changed because of these changes you made in your organizations?
Quite a few changes. Okay, so the first change is everybody's looking to save costs. They're looking, how do I run my operation with a lower cost? And obviously for the delivery of parcels, with the optimization, we would help them reduce the cost per delivery. On the other side of things, where they're moving people, they're looking to obviously gain the customer's trust again. So again, we're trying to help them again with the AI so that the customer feels like, okay, I'm more comfortable sitting in a taxi because I know the regulators are using artificial intelligence to make sure that it's safer for me to be in these public vehicles. So the customer behavior changed in that they're much tighter on their budgets and they're trying to get their revenue moving again. So we're trying to help them with both of those aspects. And I think that once you understand the mindset of the client in terms of what they need, it's easier for you to help them. Once you help them, the industry starts moving again.
So a lot of changes could happen, also changes from our side, changes from the customer behavior also as a result of all this pandemic. And we have seen it and we have noticed also, especially during the lockdown, either full lockdown or the partial lockdown. Talking about the customers, what about the supplier, the eco supplier? Do you also expect that the changes could happen in their experience about the supplier?
Really good question. So yeah, we have two kinds of suppliers. We have our technology suppliers. For example, our solutions mostly sit on the cloud. So we have the suppliers that are providing cloud services to us. We have our partners in Etisalat providing us with both data and cloud as well, with the local Microsoft Azure cloud services. And then we have the suppliers that are providing us with hardware. I'm happy to say for the most part, the technology partners have been very supportive. So whether it's Microsoft or whether it's been Etisalat, they've been working very closely with us to help us reduce costs in any way possible. And I have to say from our development team, we spend a lot of time being creative in terms of how do I reduce my costs without affecting our staff. So the last thing we want to do is have effects on staff benefits, staff salaries, delay things that they would otherwise be getting. So the focus has been on how do we work with our partners to see how we can do more with less without affecting the end customer. So the suppliers have been very good in terms of the technology providers in helping us look at new ways to use the platforms, the technologies, the cloud services, even data services from Etisalat in terms of how you optimize, how you're sending data so that your costs are reduced. And then you have your other suppliers, which are the hardware suppliers. The change with them is a bit more challenging, where in terms of, in the past, they would say, okay, you have 90 days or 60 days to pay us. Now they're saying pay us cash up front for any hardware that you need. So we've gotten some benefits on one side, but on the other side, it's been a little bit challenging, specifically on the hardware side.
Talal, focusing mainly on the transportations, we do all understand that we had a long period of lockdown.
Yeah.
Either full lockdown or also partial lockdown. We started at 10 p.m. How this pandemic has affected your company as Acacus Groups? Was it affected? If you can just give us insights how you have been affected in terms of the crisis.
Okay, so there's the bad effects, which everyone knows usually. It's the same story. So we've got late payments, we've got, people have struggled. And so we've worked, especially in the aviation sector of our business, where they've struggled with the current situation. So we worked with them in terms of how to restructure their payments and what's due to us. And then the other changes in terms of how it affected us, I can just give you one example in terms of the way we host, the way we pass data, the way we ingest data in our backend. We spend hours and hours and hours restructuring parts of our architecture so that, again, it can run at a lower cost, do more in terms of the AI. We've had to rethink of how we do our AI services on the edge. So now, for example, in the taxis, we can detect if somebody's wearing a mask or not wearing a mask. We can detect if the driver has too many passengers in the vehicle. So that retraining of the artificial intelligence took a lot of tweaking in terms of how we do things. I'm happy to say we were able to turn around the solution for most of these within 2 weeks. So it's not as easy as it sounds. I mean, to the end user, they see, okay, there's a new feature in AI, but to get that up and running with the challenges that the customer is facing, because he's tighter on his budget. So that's, kind of managing those two aspects where you're trying to get more, but at the same time, you're trying to manage the costing expectations of the client. That's required quite a bit of tweaking on the architecture side and the way we kind of build our solution.
How you find out that the driver is wearing a mask or not? Is it like a camera and using face recognition, or how is it?
Exactly. So we have cameras already installed by regulation in all public transport. All the taxis have cameras. And so the camera, the idea was you have a CCTV camera installed in these vehicles in case of an incident. And then for privacy, Dubai was very forward thinking in that they don't want people looking at those cameras. So years ago, we helped them install AI that is running inside the vehicle, and it's looking for specific events that might be alert. For example, if the driver has a passenger, but they don't use a taximeter, so they didn't switch on the taximeter, that might be an event that's important to the regulators. In this case, what we did is we retrained the AI, the artificial intelligence model, to recognize things that before were not even important to us. So one of them is a mask. The other problem we had is, you might notice in taxis now there's a plastic barrier between the driver and the passenger. That actually was confusing the cameras, because sometimes you get reflections on those barriers. So we also had to train the AI that, okay, this is a plastic barrier, that's a reflection, it's not actually another person. So retraining the artificial intelligence based on new inputs is what we had to work on. And now I'm happy to say, so initially when we did the first one, we were somewhere around 80% when we were doing internal testing in terms of accuracy. Now we're at 99.92. Hopefully next week we plan to be on 99.98% accuracy in terms of detecting these alerts.
That's very advanced one. I assume it was not even planned before the crisis. So was there any other product also? It was not even planned before, and you just came up and during this crisis?
So that's one that the one I just described to you is used in public transport. The other one that wasn't planned is more for the Aramexes out there, for the last mile delivery companies. And what they're trying to do now, they're struggling with demand. So they're getting more demand than they ever planned. We have talks with a number of them, And they're talking about, look, Talal, usually this time of the year, we're nowhere near this in terms of demand. So they need help with optimizing the dispatch of their vehicles. So if they have 10 vehicles, 100 vehicles, how do they do more deliveries per vehicle with each of those? And so we had to modify our optimization algorithm. There's a specific thing that we needed to do. So we do pickup and deliveries on a single route. And that's actually quite difficult to do mathematically. So we were able to implement that change. And that's actually being rolled out next week so that, again, you can get more deliveries and pickups per trip and per vehicle.
That's very, very interesting and very development and advancement we have installed in all the vehicles. I'm really admire and really, alhamdulillah, it's a good initiative. Talal, we do understand that the effect of COVID-19 is still there. I mean, we don't know when this is going to be over. So what are the long-term changes you are planning that you think will be critical for your business post-COVID-19?
Really good question. Yeah, so the long-term changes, I think, are an extension of the short-term changes that we have made. So on the technology side, we're planning a few other products that are more related to COVID. So one of them is going to be an extension of the AI training that we did for in-vehicles, but basically a solution that you can plug into any CCTV system. And it would help people that have shops, that are in shopping malls, that are fixed camera locations, not in vehicles, help them to identify hotspots where they might need to redirect people traffic. And what it does is basically looks at, are people too close to each other? Are there certain areas within a space that need to be redesigned in terms of the layout so that people are not as close as they should be or as they are in terms of regulation? So we're extending kind of the things that we started to other products that we think would benefit. We're also extending the optimization engine. We have a few new features that we want to roll out. So one side of our strategy is, okay, let's look at the new landscape and see what else we can do to help other companies and institutions that need help managing the new landscape. On the other side, on the back end and architecture, again, we're looking at ways that we can reduce our technology costs. There's a few migrations we're making in terms of the frameworks that we use, the systems that we use in the back end, where we think we can run the same solutions at a further reduced cost. So that's our strategy, is in terms of, I want to be able to reduce my cost so I can pass on that reduced cost to the customer, because he's going to be continually in a tight situation for some time. So I want to be able to offer him a better solution at a reduced cost. So that's what we're hoping to continue to do in the medium to longer term.
That's very amazing. Is there any specific area within your organization you are focusing on and you're planning to accelerate the changes?
Architecture, so back-end architecture. Again, a lot of the technologies we're looking at now, we were not actively pursuing them because we thought, okay, those are maybe longer term. For example, we're switching to .NET Core, where we can run a lot of the AI services that we have on Linux platforms instead of Microsoft-based platforms. And that would help us reduce a lot of the costs. So those types of things in terms of the architecture, again, if I can go to the same customer and say, look, I'm going to give you a few more features and I'm not going to increase your price, or I'm going to reduce your price while I'm doing that, I think that goes a long way. Because sure, anyone can say, yeah, I can give you a COVID solution, but by the way, now you have to pay an extra cost. What we're really trying to do is work and build the partnerships and relations that we have with our customers and help them move through this crisis, move into the new landscape, and do that hopefully at a reduced cost. That's really our goal. So I think the solution is really on whether it's Etisalat cloud services, the data packages, and the data transmission costs, and the way we could architect that. So I'm sending data in a smarter way, or the backend architecture. So my overall service costs the end customer less and provides them with added benefits.
That's a lot of work which needs to be done. And wish you. Talal, with the current situation, so we do understand that being agile and also speed and execution of the work became a very, very trend. So do we expect that you will be making some changes in your organizations so that you can become more agile in execution of work?
Well, okay, so I'm happy to say our whole platform, our whole company, we're what they call born on the cloud. So when we first started our company in 2013, our solution was designed to be running on the cloud. Also, our processes internally in terms of our development process was an agile. We use Scrum. Now we use Kanban. They're both agile processes in terms of the way you manage the flow of work. We were able to switch to everybody working from home pretty seamlessly because, again, we had the systems in place where we manage the tasks and the flow of work through the organization already before the COVID crisis hit, where we were doing that online. I have to say, though, I am surprised that when people started working from home, we found that they were more productive. Now, I don't know if that's going to be at the expense of extra stress, which we're now trying to make sure that we manage and make sure that staff are not overstressed by. It almost feels like work never ends to some of them, where you're working at home, so you don't really have a clock in and clock out. We were expecting people to be less productive, they're more productive, and now we're worried about making sure that they manage their stress level, switch off, and don't constantly be working on or manage their tasks. So it's a new landscape with definitely new challenges. But the agile process I'm not as worried about. Again, surprisingly, the worry that we have now is making sure that we slow people down and we make sure we train them that you have to switch off. You can't keep working, night and day. Where we have people. Last night I had people from our office. We're not in the office now. They're working from home. Texting me at 12:30 a.m. They text me at 2 a.m. Like, Talal, what do you think of this update? So it's worrying to me. I constantly have to say, okay, you need to take family time now. Stop doing that.
No, that's good. Well, I do understand you're busy, but if you allow me, I have only one more question that I need to ask. We have heard a lot of insight about your plan, your strategies in terms of the digitalizations, AI, cloud, CCTVs. How can the technology partner help or support you moving forward with all these plans and strategies?
Yeah, so I think it's just about alignment. It's about alignment with the partners that we have, and I'm very thankful that we have Etisalat as a partner, Microsoft as a partner, and their understanding of the changing landscape. The last thing that we need at this time is a partner that's trying to benefit more than they give, and I don't think we're in the unfortunate situation of being there. But basically, the partner needs to understand that the end customer, who's the end customer that we're trying to serve, they're being squeezed, they're being asked to do more with less. And as long as that understanding is there, then I think there's always a way to find different areas where you could work together to either tweak things, improve things, so that the overall end service to the customer is a better solution, and it can meet their challenges in terms of the costs and demand that's either rapidly increasing or rapidly decreasing.
Absolutely, and be assured we at Etisalat will be always a partner, and hopefully, inshallah, we'll be forever a strategic partner of Acacus and support together, work together, to fulfill all the plans, fulfill all the strategies. Talal, thank you very much. Thank you for all the insights. Thank you for all the information you have shared with us. It's very, very fruitful and also helpful to other SMB customers also to understand how they can overcome the crisis, how we can overcome the pandemics. Thank you very much for being here.
If I can have one final message maybe to other SMBs out there is to look for the opportunity. It looks dark out there in terms of, there's a lot of negativity in general. But with that negativity, if you look hard enough, there is a lot of opportunity for growth as well. So I hope that people that are struggling, companies that are struggling, can find those niches and use that as an opportunity to grow.
That's very good message to the SMBs, that they can look at the opportunity no matter where is it. So Talal, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And
thank you.
Have all the good and safe times. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.